Hi everyone, it's Dinah making some spaghetti sauce using the Mrs. Wages packet. I don't know a lot of you guys do this, but it's an easy way to make some spaghetti sauce in a hurry. You need 6 pounds of tomatoes. Now I'm going to use fresh tomatoes. You can also use canned, and you need a 1/4 cup of sugar also. And if you want to add to this, you certainly can. The first step will be to blanch your tomatoes to get the peelings off. I actually have some grape tomatoes and some, I'll show you that in a minute, and some larger tomatoes. The grape tomatoes I don't even peel. I just put them in the blender with the peelings on, and the larger tomatoes I do peel, and by blanching them in the water, in hot water, and then moving them into cold water and then peeling the tomato peels off. From there I'll just clean the tomato, dice it, try to get some of the seeds out, and then put them in the blender. And I'll kind of go through that process with you. Very simple. This Mrs. Wages, I don't know if anybody's used it. Let me know if you have, if you like it. Actually works pretty good. Now the sugar's added because it, the tomatoes are, can be a little tart and a little sour sometimes, and that just kind of helps with that. If you, like I said, if you want to add peppers, more stuff to it, you certainly can. You just have to kind of test it and see for yourself. But this has got everything in it, okay? So we got our tomatoes here. I'm going to wash these up, and here's the grape ones. I said that I just throw them in the blender whole. I do not peel them. What a pain that would be. And the large ones, will get them blanched in the hot water. I got my water on, and we got to get it boiling, and then once it boils, we'll submerge the tomatoes in there. Alright, I got my water boiling, so we're just going to put a few tomatoes in there. And it doesn't take very long. They don't need to be blanched very long. Okay, it's when you see the tomato skins, the skin start to break. That is when they're ready to come out. And then you just put them right in the cold water. I like to let the water get good and hot again before I do my next batch to blanch them. So I'm going to be washing up the little grape ones and looking at all of them, throwing away the ones that don't look good and cutting out the spots. And then from there I just throw them right in the blender. Okay, these I do not blanch at all. And then I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the other ones. I'm going to clean up the big ones now and take the peelings off of them. And then I'm going to take some seeds out of there too. And I weigh this when I have the finished product. When I got all the cores cut out. I fudge a little bit on it. Sometimes I do a little more than 6 pounds of the tomatoes to the Mrs. Wages packet, and it usually seems to work out okay. Because you can add your own stuff to it if you want to make it a little better. But it's really up to you what you want to do. So I'm going to get these all clean and we'll come back. So I got all my larger tomatoes cleaned up. I took a lot of the seeds out. Didn't get them all. That's about 5 pounds right there. And then we got our little grape tomatoes, and I actually cut them in half and squeezed out some of the seeds. Normally I used to just always have seeds, but it's kind of nice to get some of them seeds out. And there's some more right there in the blender. So we're going to blend it up now, and I'm going to say that's close to 6 pounds. It's going to be close. And if you ever just want to make this Mrs. Wages, you can also use canned tomatoes, but your fresh are always better. Alright, it's going to get noisy. And have to help it along a little bit. And I blend them a little bit more since the skins are on those little grape ones. But that skin isn't going to hurt you at all. Okay, there's my tomatoes all blended. Doesn't that look great? You can't even see any skins and barely any seeds. There's a few in there, but it's not too bad. So if you ever want to use your grape tomatoes or any of them smaller tomatoes and leave on the skins, it works pretty well actually. So now's the time. I'm going to put this on low and start it because with this pan I have, it'll stick otherwise. I'm going to put the Mrs. Wages pasta sauce, spaghetti sauce in there. This is a 5-ounce package. It's supposed to make 5 pints. You can freeze it, can it, or serve it. It's up to you. And then we're going to add 1/4 cup of sugar. Okay? Now this is something at this time you can add anything else you want. Okay, so we have the 1/4 cup of sugar. And here's this is what it looks like, the packets. I'm just going to show it to you a little bit. It's got all the spices and everything in it already. Okay. Okay. From there, I just turn it on low. Well, actually, kind of a medium low because of the pan. It likes to stick. And I just stir everything in and just kind of watch it. You're supposed to let this cook. Let me see, 25 minutes once you bring it to a boil. Okay, so it's going to be a little while. But this looks really good, doesn't it? And what I do with it is I'll freeze it. I freeze it in freezer bags. I do not do any canning, any processing on the stove. Freezing for me is just so much easier. So I'm going to cover this so it gets started a little bit quicker so I can get it to bring to a boil. 25 minutes now, once it starts boiling, and you reduce the heat. And let it go for 25, 30 minutes, whatever. What that do is it kind of dissipates some of the juice. It thickens up the spaghetti sauce. Okay, so that's about it. Once I get them bagged, I'll show you. But it's going to have to get cooled down first. So, all right. I also want to say, once you bring that to a boil, you're going to want to take the lid off and just let it continue cooking through. This will blend all your spices and everything that's in that mix. It'll blend all together. Plus, it helps it to thicken up by getting rid of some of the juice from the tomatoes. So make sure you take the lid off after it starts cooking real good. Alright, we got to bring it to a boil. Now we'll reduce heat to simmer. And make sure you stir it now and then because it could stick to the bottom of your pan. I turned it way down. It'll settle down here pretty soon. And I'll set my timer to 25 minutes. Sometimes I'll let it go a little bit longer even. And also a tip, if you have canned tomatoes, whole tomatoes, or frozen whole tomatoes, you can also do this same process. You can put those away and then bring them out later and make your sauce. Either way works. Just want to show it to you. It's pretty runny right now, so we're going to let that go for a little while to thicken up. And you can also add some tomato paste to thicken it up a little bit. Well, I'm going to call it good. It's been on the stove long enough. I'm now going to let this completely cool, and then we'll bag it later on. It should thicken up a little bit, and if it doesn't, I can always add tomato paste with it. Okay? Smells good. Alright everyone, it's time to bag the spaghetti sauce, and it did thicken up quite a bit. You can do them in freezer bags, or you can buy containers. I know they used to have plastic containers. Whatever container you want, or it's up to you. I like to freeze this stuff. It's just quick. But for measuring purposes, I just use this container because this is just about the right amount per servings of what we use as a family. Okay. Now you want to bag this stuff when it gets quite a bit cooler. You want it pretty cool. So this can get messy, but just got to be very careful. Put it in the bag. Okay, so I actually put about 1.5 of these in. Okay, and then you want to get your air pockets. Get the air pockets out. This is a little trickier since it is liquidy, but it's worked great. You just got to make sure you get your bags closed. It's very important. Okay. So there you are. This would be good for one meal with, you know, spaghetti sauce with one meal. Okay. And if it for some reason isn't enough, a lot of times I just add some ragu to it, and it's just fine. So there you have it. This is kind of homemade. I mean, I use a packet to do the spaghetti sauce, but it makes it so much quicker. And freezing your sauce, you know, it's an easy way to store, you know, to store it if you got freezer space. So thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm going to finish doing this, and we'll talk to you on the next video. Bye.